Not long ago in my annual yearly update video, I talked about how one of my goals for 2024 was to do a little bit more with focus stacking. This is something that I've tried every now and then, but not seriously. And it's where you combine a series of images, usually taken with a macro lens, at a very shallow depth of field, and then combine them in Photoshop so that the sharpest parts of each image are in focus, but the rest isn't. And you end up with an image that's kind of the best of both worlds. This image is it's okay. So these are two stalks of a pothos plant in a glass of water. This actually is a plant that my wife is working on propagating. So she took some cuttings from one plant, put them in some water, and is waiting for the roots to grow, and then can replant those. So each of the two stalks you see here are, a 1/4 inch in diameter. And then they're covered with these tiny little bubbles, these air bubbles that are, minuscule. I don't even know how big those would be, like a 32nd of an inch, like 1 millimeter. I don't know. They're really, really tiny. But to get all of them in focus like this, you would need a wider aperture. Or, I'm sorry, a smaller aperture. So you'd need to take this shot this close at like an f32, f45. I don't know. You'd have to be really, really close. But then more of the image would be in focus, not just these balls. And so with focus stacking, you slowly focus from near to far by moving the focus ring on your lens. And you just continue taking lots and lots of photos, and then you combine them. And that's what I did here. And this was actually the first time I tried a focus stacking image with a more controlled set of variables. Usually when I've done this in the past, it's sort of been handheld, impromptu. Here I used a tripod. I set this up very intentionally, and the result is what you see here. This is a bunch of images. I don't even know how many, but they were taken with a wide aperture and then stacked together. So this is really more of an experiment than anything, or evidence of growth, I suppose, or at least trying something new. Did I learn from it? Yeah, it was fun to take this. Do I like the final image? Sure, it's great. It's not like my favorite image of all time, but when I look at it, I see evidence of learning and progress and something new to try. One interesting thing that I kind of like about the final image is on the left, you see that vertical column of bubbles. That's actually one bubble. That was, I guess you could count each one of those shots and figure out how many frames compose this image, because that bubble was like working its way up the glass of water as I was taking these pictures. So I don't know, kind of fun little detail. So will I try this again? Probably. I don't like how controlled you have to be with all the conditions, but it was fun. And I feel like I learned something new along the way, or at least learned a little bit more about a technique that I'd only tried before.